Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is Griever back here, bringing you guys the latest piece of One Piece, chapter 1116, entitled Conflict. Now, if you guys haven't already seen my previous videos, just a quick rundown. Obviously, my wife is still leaving me as far as I've been updated, so right now I'm just a little bit embarrassed, yada yada yada, but we are going to get through this because the moment I haven't even gotten it's recorded, my chapter 1115 review is rendering, it was rendering today, and 1116 already came up. Obviously, I've been a little bit behind for obvious reasons, but we're going to run through this one, and I'm hoping to get this one uploaded by Friday so that you'll have One Piece tonight, and then you'll have One Piece tomorrow from me. So, probably not the most exciting video, still wearing the sunglasses out of just straight up embarrassment, but either way, we're just gonna jump right into it. And I never realized, looking at the cover page, I've already read the chapter, by the way. This isn't a live reaction. I'm just gonna go through the pages and a few key things that I liked. There was also a shorter chapter. I think there was like 2 or 3 less pages this week. So anyways, Yamato is fucking huge, okay, in more ways than one, right? In fact, 2. But she's actually incredibly big because Suru is about, she's a tall woman and everything like that, and Yamato towers over her. I never really realized how big Yamato was, but either way, the cover serial is continuing there. At first, I thought Osuru was handing her a devil fruit, and I was like, oh, I wonder what this is about. It actually piqued my interest, and then I realized, oh, no, it's not, whatever. But, yeah, so either way, yeah, that's the volume number 6 cover, getting medicine and dumplings from Osuru. So, isn't that nice? Now, continuing on, I do have some questions right out of the gate. So we know at the end of the last chapter and stuff, it was basically Vegapunk. The chapter can be summarized with everything still happening, and Vegapunk is basically explaining that the ancient weapons caused everything. There was a flood, the world isn't the way we know it, and it was man-made, and the war is still going on. The world-ending weapons are still here. The ancient weapons still exist, and so we're continuing off on that. Now we do see more of Eam, who is now looking at a picture of, obviously this is the other one, not the one that looks like Vivi, the oh, what is her name? I'm sorry, guys, right now, obviously my mind's a little scrambled, but this is obviously a painting or a portrait of the one that Eam's looking at here, is a painting or portrait of the first, the queen, the defier, all that stuff, right? So there's a painting for them, obviously Vivi. Maybe we're going to get into a reincarnation theme or something like that, who knows? But either way, yeah, that is definitely the thing. So I am curious, though, because we do see, once again, nothing really of Eam or whatever, but we do see the silhouette like we've always seen, and then there's a shout of the last panel splitting over to Alabasta, where it's a big scream of Vegapunk. Now, while Eam is walking through this room, this flower garden, and seeing the portrait of a Nefertari and all that stuff, it's still the people surrounding, like, how can an 800-year-old war still be going on, and no one from back then is even alive today? Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. I can't wink with sunglasses on, but wink, wink. Why would a war rage on in total secrecy? And then I'm thinking that the Vegapunk is just meant to be people just in the streets still continuing in total secrecy, Vegapunk, and all that stuff, right? But when I first read it, I thought it was quite literally Eam with the big, Renegon eye screaming Vegapunk. I'm curious about that, because obviously Eam is paying attention. But either way, I don't think that's the case anymore after a couple rereads. But yeah, so here's where Vegapunk continues on as we see Alabasta, the missing Vivi and stuff like that. Everyone's distraught over it. There's our duck champion and stuff like that, and it's very sad. Then we know that here's Cobra's, basically Cobra's funeral here. By the looks of it, we have Cobra's funeral. There's the almost the ancient Egyptian looking sarcophagus and stuff like that. looking on into, and Vegapunk continues saying, I want to apologize. There's something I have to confess, is that I wanted to create basically what always happens now with like the Avengers movies and stuff like that, like Iron Man, like trying to create clean, free energy and stuff like that so that the world could prosper. It's like, yeah, it's like it culminated. I created the Mother Flame, or it culminated in the Mother Flame. So probably based on the old technology, you know, some Tony Stark level dude was probably from the Void Century, probably had the same, already had this technology, and Vegapunk was able to replicate it or modify it or do something with it. So he was so excited. It has many practical uses, all this stuff. I'm certain that one day we'll be able to utilize this so there will be free energy for everyone. No one will go hungry. No one will this. You know, that's the worst part about science. The worst part about scientists is that they always do things with the goal of never recognizing how their drive for the truth, their drive for knowledge, their drive for totally humane, good moral reasons can instantly be utilized for bad ones, and they just think it'll never happen, yada yada yada. And unfortunately, it's an old tale told time and time again, as we know. So not just in fiction, but in the real world, we know that this is taking place. So he says, you know, the breakthrough is, you know, it was fantastic and stuff, but a small fragment of the flame was stolen. Now, we know that this was York later on. I'll skip that part. York basically was the one to steal a piece, though we don't know how he knew. So, but a fragment of the flame was stolen, hence the Mother Flame that took out Leloucia. He talks about the Leloucia Kingdom. I take full responsibility for this, you know, and all this stuff. Now, Stussy basically says, I want to let Kaku go. Blah blah. Edison, is that all right? Like, yeah, and stuff. And it's a nice little scene there between them, and Stussy being happy about it. Kaku like unsure of how he feels about it. Is like, these are still your companions. You know, I'm sorry we made you do this and stuff like that. It was actually quite a nice little scene, and Stussy and Kaku are obviously going to try to keep on living and get out of there, right? So Vegapunk still continues his message, saying that, you know, 2 weeks after the flame fragment was stolen, we observed an intense glow emitting from the kingdom of Leloucia. It was used to eradicate it, and so he gets down on his hands and knees, and he just apologizes, saying, you know, only the Mother Flame could have supplied this power source. So, once again, obviously, it was an ancient weapon. What we're being told here is that the Mother Flame is not in itself an ancient weapon, and the Mother Flame is not a new weapon. The Mother Flame powered one of the three, obviously only one of the two. It powered one of the two ancient weapons that was likely inactive without the power of the Mother Flame. It needed the power source, hence ancient weapons. Probably needed a power source from the Void Century. It doesn't exist anymore. That's why the ancient weapons don't really exist anymore. It's because they don't have a power source to be able to harness them. So, obviously, the fragment of the Mother Flame was enough to launch or reutilize that power. And no one knew that Leloucia was gone, because we have kings and stuff. The king with the king punch or whatever, I forget his name. He's like, confirm this right now. Leloucia is gone? What are they talking about? That's one of our trading partners, blah, blah. Everyone's like, whoa. So they've been keeping that information obviously hidden. And so he gets down on his hands and knees and he apologizes. He bows his head and he apologizes, saying, my motives and origins right now, you know, don't matter. The fact is, it was stolen, it was taken, and it was used for nefarious means. But at the end of the day, I am responsible because I created this, and without thinking that it would ever be used like this. So I am an accessory to this act of mass murder. Good for Vegapunk for acknowledging that and taking that on. Of course, a lot of people wouldn't blame him for this, and even the people in his own hometown kingdom are like, you know, this is not your fault and stuff like that. You know, you're going to have debates on both sides. There's going to be people that are going to be, yes, no, he is an accessory to murder, you know, black and white issue. Some people are going to say no, that he was doing it for good intentions and stuff. And I always just think of Jurassic Park 3 specifically with Sam Neill, obviously great actor, who basically said, with the best intentions. Some of the worst things imaginable have been done with the best intentions. And that is the exact same idea here, is that Vegapunk, once again, may or may not be a genius, but my biggest problem with his character, he is naive to literally a fault of now he can be blamed for everything that happened to Kuma, everything that happened to Bonnie, and everything that happened now to Lucia, and because of his naivete, if you will. So yeah, he is naive to the point of a literal being an accessory to murder. So I'm still in the gray form. I don't think he should be tried for this. Obviously, he didn't push the button, but he made the means possible. So there is still some blame. There's accountability, if not blame, definitely accountability and responsibility on his part. So he is apologizing for this, right? So then they basically say that it must have been Pluton. Pluton must have been powered by the Mother Flame and stuff, right? So, and we actually see Crocodile. When the three ancient weapons are talked about, the great three ancient weapons, we do see Crocodile obviously listening in. So Mihawk and Crocodile, and then we don't see Mihawk, but we can assume they're listening in. It said that Joy Boy attempted to ensure that they would be passed down onto future generations. That begs the question of why. Hasn't the world sunk enough yet? Such ambiguity makes it hard to brand one side or the other as evil and or just. He's already mentioned that before. But the day of answers are coming. Consider this a warning that everyone will fear the notion of a further sunk world, basically saying it's not over yet. They're going to sink it again. We're at the top echelon. We're living on mountains. We call them islands, but they're literal mountains, the peaks of mountains that once existed as mountains. And now, it's still going to continue. It's continuing as we speak. We do not see Garp, obviously still at Hajinosu, who is clearly not dead. There's no way Garp is dead, but we do see Sengoku and Tsuru, and they're and he's just like power eating, his rice crackers, his rice biscuits, his whatever he's eating, and he's just power eating them because we can assume that Garp already knows this information, and or Sengoku is privy to most of this information at the very least, because we know that Roger and his crew knew, Garp likely knew. And if anybody else in the Marines know, it would be Sengoku, Kong, and yeah, that would probably be about it, if any of them know. So then he keeps saying that I've only read so many. Once again, I didn't know the history. I haven't been to Laugh Tale. I haven't done this. He said the Void Sentry is still an enigma, but there are those who know what happened in its entirety. And I thought he was immediately going to say there is, the Scholars of Nahara discovered this or whatever, but that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense because obviously most of his information comes from what the Scholars of Nahara likely knew. Maybe he doesn't know all of what they knew, but he knows most of it. That's where all of his information comes from. Then I was thinking, oh, he's talking of the Gorosei, or maybe he's going to reveal Eam, or something like that. My first thought, because once again, they do know. Obviously, they do know. And then it was so obvious to me and stuff. And then Akainu is just getting more and more pissed. We do see Akainu as he's just there, just steaming out. I thought it was Smoker for a minute, the amount coming out of him, and he just said, everything. You're going to explain everything, Vegapunk. And I'm wondering if this is Akainu saying, like, keep talking. Like, I need to know, what the hell are you talking about? What are you about to reveal about this world? Because, once again, Akainu doesn't like the position he's in right now, right? He's obviously got that hard justice and all that stuff, absolute justice. But this probably is not sitting well with him, so he's probably like, I'm going to capture him, and he's going to tell me the real story. He's going to tell me everything. Or, like, I don't think Akainu means, like, you're going to explain everything Vegapunk, like he's pissed off at Vegapunk, like, I'm going to shut you down like the Gorosei. No, he's like, you're going to explain how you've come to this conclusion. You're going to tell me exactly what the hell, how you know all this, what's going on and stuff. Because once again, Akainu is not exactly the poster boy for the Gorosei. He's very against a lot of this shit. He doesn't like this. He wants transparency. He believes in absolute justice. And what the world government at its top echelon is doing would not follow absolute justice the way Akainu sees it. I firmly believe that, so I don't think he's very happy right now. So then he says, no, I'm not referring to the Gorosei, I'm not referring to them. I'm referring to the members of the former Pirate King's crew. And then we do see Crocus and stuff like that, and Laboon. We do see him, and he's like, so he's been listening and stuff, and they're like, why would pirates know the world's secrets? This is crazy. And then we do jump to the York thing, like, oh yeah, like, I don't know how he figured this out, but he did. I don't know how. I was plugged in at the time, so I don't understand how that. Or I unplugged myself from the network, then plugged myself back in. So there's no way he could have known that I stole the fragment of the Mother Flame. Blah blah blah. They realize. She realizes. Tells the Gorosei that they are actually. It's in the Iron Giant. Inside Vin Diesel's Iron Giant is where the transponder snail must be. So. So she said, I worked it out. It's in the Fabrio Stratum or whatever. It's once again, it's the Iron Giant, and he's guarding it. So I believe once again, it's in the Fabrio Stratum. And they said the Iron Guardian is the Iron Giant is guarding it, but I like to think the transponder snail is actually inside the video snail is in broadcast whatever it is actually inside the Iron Giant. I think that's the way I took it, but maybe he's actually guarding the location. I don't know. Anyway, we do see the Iron Giant. So then he basically says, I'm sure they knew our entire history, so why? Why would they just fade away without telling a soul? Why didn't they act? And once again, begs the question, why did Roger laugh? Why did they disband? Why have none of them done anything? Why did Shanks wait this long to go get the One Piece? Like, we know that Buggy and Shanks did not actually go to the island. But he could have gone at any time. There's very little stopping him. He knew where they were headed. He probably knew the secrets. Shanks could probably have gotten there at any point. He chose to wait. So clearly Roger told him something. And Vegapunk is asking the big questions. If they knew all this, why didn't they do something? Why have they faded away from history? Why did they choose to not act and do nothing? Then we jump back to one of the coolest mentor and old characters in all of fiction. We jump to the Dark King himself, Silver's Rayleigh, amazing, who drank too much today. Shocky was beating up some unruly patrons and basically says, haven't you had enough booze and stuff? Like, you rarely get so wasted. And he just basically like, I'm old and I'm washed up now, and just like Vegapunk here, I'm just a babbling old geezer who's already said far too much. And don't be an ass and take it away from the youngsters, is what Rayleigh says. It's a thrill. The thrill is theirs to seek now, right, Roger? And we get a break next week. So those who knew the truth just laugh. So Rayleigh is not fully approving if Vegapunk tells too much. Why, we still don't know, but I do think that Roger and Rayleigh and stuff had good intentions with this. There had to be a reason. You know, because once again, E might be very, very dangerous. The Gorosei are obviously incredibly dangerous, but Rayleigh, Roger, in their prime? I can't think of... The Gorosei could not defeat Prime, Rayleigh, and Roger working together. The Pirate King's crew, at full strength, feared basically nothing. You know, there was nothing. There was only rocks in their way, and we've seen the strength of the Gorosei. I'm sorry, I just don't see it. So they could have acted. They could have done something. They could have joining Dragon's Revolution, who is the only one not shocked so far by the information. So clearly Dragon knows something. But what he says here is actually very interesting at the end of the chapter, where he says, don't be an ass and take it away from the youngsters. I think he means this message for Vegapunk, basically saying, we let it lie for a reason. Don't take away their thrill. Like, they need to discover this for themselves. This could very well be just it could be a fate thing, a destiny thing. It's not their job or something like that. They needed to wait for Luffy. Like, Luffy's the one to do it all or something like that. And Rayleigh's basically saying, you know, or it could be selfish of Rayleigh here. Like, we don't know yet because we don't have enough information, but it sounds like Rayleigh's basically like, there wasn't anything we could have done at the time, which we've sort of confirmed before. We got there too soon. There was nothing they could have done. So whatever information is there means there's nothing they could have done about it when they were, and they realized that waiting the 20 years or so, it wouldn't have mattered. You know, in the grand scheme of things, it wouldn't have they wouldn't have been able to stay on top long enough to make a difference at the age. Like, look at how old Rayleigh is now, and Roger was going to die and all these things. So they just wouldn't have had the power to do it at the time. So they recognized this, and now he sort of wants them to have a grand adventure because he thinks the heart's of adventure and all that stuff for one side of it, but the other side literally is like, we were too early. We couldn't have done anything even if we had wanted to. And he even mentions that there's nothing you can do about it right now as you are. So he says this to Robin back at before the time skip. So yeah, there's a lot we could unpack with this one. I am curious to see what you guys think about it. Let me know down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as always. And we'll see all of you hopefully back here for the next chapter of One Piece. There's a break next week, so but that gives me a little bit of time to hopefully get a little bit more energy into myself and stuff. Maybe I'll actually eat more than once a day here and stuff like that, and we'll be able to go from there. So once again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back here for chapter 1117, I hope. So thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. Have a good one.